Most men will spend their entire lives loving a woman and never once realize the moment she silently decided he was the one. And the saddest part, she told him, repeatedly, just never with words. There is something a woman guards more carefully than her secrets, more carefully than her past, more carefully than anything she has ever posted online. It is not her diary. It is not her deepest fear. It is the unfiltered, unguarded, completely raw version of who she is when she has stopped auditioning and started simply being, and she only stops auditioning for one man, the man she has already, quietly, completely fallen for. Here is what nobody tells you about how women love. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships revealed something that should genuinely shake every man reading this. 78% of men completely failed to recognize the moment a woman emotionally bonded with them. That is not a small number. That is not a rounding error. That is nearly 8 out of 10 men sitting across from a woman who has already decided she wants to build something real, and those men are completely, obliviously unaware. And here is what makes that even more painful. When a woman feels like the man she loves is not seeing her, not truly receiving what she is offering, she does not explode. She does not send a dramatic text. She slowly, quietly withdraws. Not because the love disappeared, because she concluded that showing it was pointless. And by the time he notices something is wrong, she has already made peace with leaving. So what I want to do right now is walk you through exactly what a woman shares only when she is genuinely, irreversibly in love. Not infatuated, not interested. Actually in love. Some of what I am about to say will reframe relationships you thought you understood. Some of it will make you replay specific moments from your past and finally understand what they meant. And the final one, the one I am saving for the very end, is the one that tells you she is not just in love with you. She is choosing you even though love terrifies her. Let us start with something that catches most men completely off guard: her real history. Not the highlight reel, the painful, unedited version. There is a particular kind of conversation that changes everything in a relationship, and most men do not even realize it is happening. It does not start dramatically. It usually starts quietly, almost accidentally. She mentions something offhand, something about growing up, about her parents, about a period in her life she never really talks about, and then she pauses. And in that pause, she is measuring whether you are safe. Because what comes next is not casual conversation. What comes next is archaeology. She is about to hand you a piece of her history that she normally keeps buried, the loneliness she felt as a child, the parent who was physically present but emotionally somewhere else entirely, the moment she learned that love sometimes comes with conditions. According to Dr. Sue Johnson, a clinical psychologist and founder of emotionally focused therapy, emotional vulnerability is the clearest signal of deep attachment bonding between two people. A woman does not excavate her own pain for someone she does not love. She has almost certainly shared something vulnerable before and watched someone use it carelessly, maybe even weaponize it. So if she is going back into that territory with you, she has decided you are different. What most men do wrong in this moment is they try to problem solve. They hear her pain and immediately want to fix it, redirect it, resolve it. And in doing so, they completely miss the point. She is not asking you to repair her past. She is asking you to sit inside it with her, to witness it. That is all. The men who understand this become irreplaceable. The next thing she shares is one that makes even the most outwardly confident woman feel completely exposed: how she truly sees her own body. Think about the performance that goes into how women present themselves to the world. Carefully chosen angles, particular lighting, the version of herself she has curated for public consumption. It is not vanity. It is armor. Because the world has spent decades telling women that their worth is inseparable from their appearance, and most women carry that weight every single day without ever letting it show. So when she turns to you, no filter, no performance, and says something like, "I really hate my stomach," or "I do not feel attractive today," or "I look exhausted and I know it," understand what is actually happening. She has just lowered her armor completely. A study from the International Journal of Eating Disorders found that over 91% of women experience persistent dissatisfaction with their physical appearance. 91%. That means nearly every woman you have ever loved has a private, ongoing battle happening inside her head about her body, a battle she almost never lets anyone see. And she is letting you see it. She is showing you the woman behind the performance. She is trusting you to look at her the same way after the curtain drops. Your response in this moment will live in her memory for years, not because she is keeping score, but because vulnerability remembered is either safety confirmed or safety betrayed. Be the man who confirms it. Now, here is one that will completely reframe something you have probably already experienced but never understood. Her silence. Not awkward silence, not the silence that fills a room after an argument. I am talking about the silence where she is sitting beside you, completely at peace, not reaching for her phone, not filling the air with conversation, just existing in your presence, like it is the most natural thing in the world. Researchers at the University of Groningen found that human beings begin to experience social anxiety after just 4 seconds of silence in conversation. 4 seconds. We are biologically wired to fill quiet space because silence historically signaled disconnection, rejection, threat. So the fact that she can sit beside you for 20 minutes with nothing but the sound of the room around you, completely relaxed, not performing, not managing, not accommodating, that is one of the most profound forms of trust that exists between two people. Women are socialized from childhood to keep the atmosphere comfortable, to manage the emotional temperature of every room they enter. When she stops doing that around you, when she simply exists without tending to the air between you, she is telling you something enormous. She feels safe enough to stop working. She feels home. Do not mistake her stillness for boredom. That stillness is sacred. It took her years to find it. The next one is something most men notice but rarely understand the depth of. The way she starts including you in a future that has not happened yet. It starts subtly. She mentions a restaurant she wants to take you to months from now. She talks about a trip she pictures the two of you taking. She says something like, "You would actually love this festival. We should go next year," or casually drops, "When we have more space, we could," and continues as if nothing significant just happened. But something significant just happened. She put you in her future, deliberately. The Gottman Institute, which has spent over 4 decades researching what makes relationships last, identifies a concept called love mapping, the mental architecture a person builds around their partner. When someone is deeply invested, their partner becomes embedded in how they envision their life moving forward. Not as a guest, as a permanent resident. Pay attention to the language contrast. A woman who is uncertain speaks in careful, non-committal terms. She hedges. She uses maybe, and we will see, and I do not know what I am doing that far out. But a woman in love starts speaking in we. She stops narrating her future as a solo story and begins writing it as a shared one. She already bought you a ticket on a journey she has not taken yet. That is not a small thing. That is her whole heart in sentence form. Now, this next one is the one that most men handle the worst, and mishandling it has ended more promising relationships than almost anything else. When she shares what a previous relationship actually did to her, she is not bringing it up to make you uncomfortable. She is not still attached to that person. She is not trying to make you feel compared or measured. What she is actually doing is something extraordinarily brave. She is handing you a map of her damage and trusting you to navigate around it rather than straight through it. Dr. Brené Brown, who has spent over 2 decades researching vulnerability and human connection, describes trust as something that is built not in grand gestures, but in small, repeated moments where one person chooses to be open and the other person responds with genuine care. When she tells you about the betrayal that broke something in her, the relationship that taught her that love could also feel like a trap, she is offering you one of those moments. And your response will determine whether she continues to open or quietly starts reinforcing every wall she had just started to take down. The worst thing you can do is minimize it. Tell her it was a long time ago. Remind her you are not that person. She knows you are not that person. What she needs to know is that you understand why the ghost of that person still follows her. Acknowledge the weight. Then prove through patience and consistency that she does not need to stay guarded with you. That proof is not delivered in a single conversation. It is delivered over time. Now, this next one is going to seem lighter, but do not let that fool you. It is one of the most honest forms of love there is. Her completely unfiltered, slightly embarrassing, totally authentic, everyday self. The fact that she rewatches the same comfort show every time life gets overwhelming, the strange organizational system in her car that makes sense only to her, the dramatically specific food order she places at every restaurant without apology, the playlist she has that she would die before showing anyone else. The voice she uses with her pet that is nothing like her normal voice. When she stops hiding these things from you, when she just lets them exist in your presence without explanation or apology, she has stopped auditioning. Dr. Arthur Aaron, a psychologist at Stony Brook University, conducted landmark research showing that progressive self-disclosure, including the silly, trivial, and mildly embarrassing details of one's life, significantly deepens emotional closeness between partners. His famous 36-question study, designed to engineer intimacy between strangers, worked precisely because it escalated through levels of vulnerability, eventually reaching the personal and unguarded. What most people miss is that sharing your weird is actually a form of emotional intimacy. It says, the performance is over. I am not managing how I appear to you anymore. I am just here. When she gives you that, receive it like it matters. Because it does. The next one is rarely talked about in dating content, but it is one of the most clear-eyed, serious signals of deep love you will ever receive. When she is honest with you about money, here is the reality. People will discuss almost anything before they discuss their financial truth. They will talk about their childhood trauma, their therapy, their complicated family history, their deepest insecurities, before they will sit across from someone and say, here is what my bank account actually looks like. Here is the debt I am carrying. Here is the financial pressure I wake up to every morning. A 2022 Bankrate survey found that 42% of Americans in relationships have kept a significant financial secret from their partner, almost half. Because money in our culture carries shame, judgment, and a particular vulnerability that feels uniquely exposing. So when she tells you the truth, the student loans she is still paying off, the months where she barely made rent, the financial goals she has not hit yet, or even the opposite, the financial success she has that she is afraid to share because of how it might change the dynamic between you, she is letting you behind a curtain that most people keep permanently drawn. She is showing you the practical, unglamorous, entirely real architecture of her life. And she would not do that for someone she sees as temporary. She is telling you she plans to build something with you. That requires showing you the real foundation, not just the decorated surface. And now we arrive at the final one. The one I told you about at the very beginning. The one that does not just tell you she loves you. It tells you the love is real enough to frighten her. When she looks at you, maybe after a quiet evening, maybe right after a small argument has been resolved, maybe completely out of nowhere, and she says something like, "Sometimes I wonder if this is too good to actually last." Or, I get scared when I think about you not being around. Or she holds on to you just slightly longer than the moment requires. That is not anxiety. That is depth. Women are taught from an early age to present as independent, self-sufficient, and emotionally unbothered. The cultural message delivered to women for decades has been consistent. Do not need too much. Do not show how much. Never let a man know the full weight of what you feel for him, because that knowledge gives him power over you. So when a woman breaks through all of that conditioning, all of that carefully maintained protective armor, and tells you she is afraid of losing you, understand the magnitude of what she just did. Attachment theory, originally developed by psychologist John Bowlby and expanded by decades of subsequent research, establishes that fear of losing a deeply bonded partner is not a sign of insecurity or weakness. It is a sign of genuine, meaningful attachment. The anxiety that comes with loving someone deeply is biological. It is the nervous system recognizing that this person has become essential. When she tells you she is scared of losing you, she is not being fragile. She is being real. She is telling you that you have become essential to her, and how you respond in that moment will either confirm her worst fear or dissolve it. If you dismiss it, minimize it, or treat it as dramatic, she will file that information away and begin quietly building the emotional distance she will eventually need to protect herself. If you meet it with steadiness, with reassurance that is backed by consistent action over time, she will love you in ways that most men never get to experience. Because most men never earn that level of trust. So here is the full picture. A woman who lets you into her painful history. A woman who shows you her unguarded reflection. A woman who sits in silence beside you without needing to fill it. A woman who writes you into a future she has not lived yet. A woman who maps her past wounds for you so you can avoid recreating them. A woman who lets you see the unpolished, ridiculous, completely real version of herself. A woman who shows you her financial reality without dressing it up. And a woman who admits that losing you genuinely frightens her. That is not a woman keeping her options open. That is not a woman who is casually interested. That is a woman who has decided that you are worth the risk of being completely known. And that decision was not made lightly. Every wall she had was built because someone before you made her feel that being open was dangerous. She is choosing to believe you are different. The question is not whether she is speaking. She has been speaking this whole time. The question is whether you have been listening in the language she is actually using, because she is not waiting for a grand gesture. She is waiting for you to notice the small ones she keeps leaving for you. If something in this video made you see something differently, do something with that. Not tomorrow. Right now. Think of one person in your life who needs to understand this. A friend, a brother, someone who is standing directly in front of a woman who loves him and completely missing it. Share this with him. That one conversation could change everything before the window closes. And before you move on, there is something I deliberately did not address here today, because knowing she loves you is only the first half of the equation. The second half is recognizing when she is ready to move deeper, both emotionally and physically. And most men misread those signals completely. I put together a full breakdown on exactly this called Revealed 3 Clear Signs. She wants more intimacy with you. Because if she is already in love and already reaching towards something more and you are not seeing it, the gap between what she is offering and what you are receiving will eventually become a wall. And walls, once built, are far more difficult to dismantle than they were to raise. That video is on your screen right now. Watch it next. The signals she is sending you have an expiration date.